He goes by General, which I learned, but my friend, Ken Cuccunelli.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. You all, of course, are a very special Tea Party. You have your own flag. How many Tea Parties can even say that? All the rest of them have to share one, and you have the Culpeper flag, which is a great bit of history and it traces back to a time when first principles were best articulated, really in the history of the world, and done by so many Virginians and our founders. And at that time, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to defend those principles and to fight to bring them forth in a nation in the world, which had never happened before. And they succeeded. They succeeded. Well, over the years, especially the last 100 or so years, as a nation, we have really begun to take those principles for granted. Not the folks here, but as a nation, we have done that. And we've looked more and more to government to solve every problem. And all government ever asks is just a little bit more of our liberty. One little bit at a time, whether it be in legislation or regulation or courts, that's what they do. And over the years, we have seen our freedom and our liberty eaten away. And while life is listed first in the Declaration of Independence, it is the most important gift God's given us. The reason America has been a beacon to the world for over 200 years is the extraordinary place of liberty in this nation. And the fact that we protect it, we nurture it, we help others around the world achieve it, and it is that freedom that has allowed us, it hasn't made us, it has allowed us to become the greatest nation in the history of the world. And that liberty is threatened. We no longer have a federal government of limited powers. We have a central government. We have a central government that plans and controls, or attempts to, virtually every aspect of our economy and our lives as best they can pull it off. And one thing that gives me hope, Bryce mentioned running in Northern Virginia. Before I was Attorney General, I was a state senator in Northern Virginia, in Fairfax specifically. So, of course, as a conservative in Fairfax, I was covered by the Endangered Species Act. And we got to get something useful out of that act. But, I talked about first principles door to door in Fairfax. And I won 3 elections. And people are still scratching their heads to this day about how I won elections in Fairfax without giving an inch on the principles. Not giving an inch. And one of the things I have seen probably in the last 5 years or so, and the Tea Party is a flowering of it, it isn't the only example of it, is that Americans are refocusing on those first principles. They are filtering their political decisions, including what candidates they're going to support and so forth, through the filter of first principles. The Tea Party is the most obvious example of this, and I appreciate the work you all do. You gathering here today, but not just here today, talking to folks and reminding them of the foundation of this country and why preserving it is so important. And over the last few years, I have seen more and more citizens in Virginia and across the country refocus themselves on those principles. And I've seen federalism reemerge and actually become a campaign issue. I went out to Oklahoma in 2010 to campaign for Scott Pruitt for Attorney General. Can you imagine someone even just a few years ago running with a platform of establishing an office of federalism in their office? Can you even imagine that? A few years ago, I don't think most Americans, perhaps still today, but I hope not, would even know what federalism is. And if we win this health care case, I think we may write a little book, Federalism Played by Lazarus. But states are serving as the check when the federal government oversteps its constitutional boundaries. Exactly what the founders had in mind in our federalist system. And of course, all the important ones were Virginians. So it's natural for us to be leading the fight to restore these first principles. Over half the states are suing the federal government, 28 states, as party plaintiffs. We all file friend of the court briefs all the time, and because we're the plaintiffs in this health care case against the federal government to protect the Constitution from violations by that federal government. It's an extraordinary position. A little over a year ago when we filed that suit, the media response and the conventional wisdom was all very entertaining. Not to my mother, but it was entertaining to me. We were frivolous political hacks and this and that, and the list goes on. My personal favorite was one member of the professoriate who said that we had a controversial reading of the Constitution. Oh yes, as it was written, very controversial stuff. And we're sticking with our controversial reading of the Constitution. And you know what? We're winning. We're winning. In December, we had the first federal judge in the country to rule the individual mandate, which is the heart of the constitutional case against the federal health care bill, to rule the individual mandate unconstitutional. That was the first time that it happened anywhere in the country. It's happened one time since then in Florida with the second case that has 26 states in it. Virginia's on its own in our lawsuit. And then there's a third case that Oklahoma filed just in January. They had a ballot measure when Scott Pruitt was running for AG. It was the same time. And it basically was like our Virginia Healthcare Freedom Act. It said no Oklahoman can be ordered to buy health insurance against their will. And it squeaked by 70-30. I wish I could have squeaked by like that in Fairfax all those years, but no such luck. And so Scott, having run on establishing an office of federalism, and having that, for them it was a constitutional amendment go through, he brought suit within 2 weeks of taking office, as he promised he would. Imagine that, keeping the promises you make on the campaign trail. And so that brought us to 28 states by the end of January of this year suing the federal government.